Excuse me. Hey guys, it's me. I'm back from hiatus from the from a lot of stuff that's been on my mind, and we're back to doing what I always love to do, which is the podcast. And I know what you're thinking. Yes, this is podcast as the other ones, except we're under management. So, so you guys know who I am. I'm Nick, and with me is the creator of the podcast. So, would you like to introduce yourself?
All right. Hi, guys. This is Boy Thunder Productions here. This is Boy Thunder Productions here, also known as FilmBrony, and I'm here with my friend Nick and Neo for a bit of a reboot of sorts, a spiritual successor of sorts. So here we're gonna. So in this
All right.
episode,
All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So in this episode of the Film Brony podcast, we got a bunch of movie reviews to take care of, and they're all from 2020. We also we have a couple of discussions, like with the new Capone movie, the recent trailer that dropped. Some a little bit of a discussion on digital movie releases, and to cap it all off, we are going to rank all the best picture winners from the 2010s.
All right.
But first,
Okay. So I'll start with the.
oh,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
well, but first, before we get to these movie reviews, I got some new Blu-rays to showcase, and since I have a whole bunch of them, and we have so little time to take care of them, I'm just gonna rapid fire through these. All right, so here we go. Alphabetical order. Some of those I've seen before, some of them I haven't seen before, but all of them I played with my hard-earned money, in spite of a whole quarantine that's happening. So let's begin. All right, so to start off is Alice Garland's latest, Annihilation.
A great film.
Next comes Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood with Tom Hanks.
I love that movie.
Me too. And Tom Hanks totally deserved that Oscar nomination. Almost makes me forget about them snubbing the documentary the year before. Keyword being almost. Next is
Yeah.
Next is a pretty underrated comedy from the 2000s, Be Kind, Rewind.
I really like that film very much.
And it's by the director of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Who knew? Next up is a movie that, yes, this is pretty terrible, but I like to watch it as kind of a guilty pleasure, The Cat in the Hat.
I'm not gonna lie, it's also one of my biggest guilty pleasures of all time.
And yeah, I guess we can all agree that this has more enjoyment within 10 minutes than Illumination's two Dr. Seuss movies, being the Lorax and the recent Grinch movie.
Yeah.
Next up is a movie that totally isn't relevant today at all, Contagion.
Contagion, absolutely one of Steven Soderbergh's movies.
I'll have to check that out someday. Next up is Wolfgang Petersen's Das Boot. Desbolt.
Wolfgang Peterson, man. I'm telling you, this is like the film that got him a lot of like publicity when it was first released.
And it did. Next up is
and it's a great film.
so I've heard. Next up,
Go ahead.
are you having audio issues in your end?
I think I am. I think I honestly my computer is very very slow, so that's why I'm experiencing like audio issues.
All right then. Next up is The Descendants with George Clooney.
Great film.
Next is another Alex Garland movie, Ex Machina.
Another fantastic film.
Next is Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
A classic.
Frost Nixon.
Another great film.
A triple feature from the 80s, Goonies, Gremlins, and Gremlins 2.
Nice.
The Help.
I can still see you. Another great film.
Inherent Vice by Paul Thomas Anderson.
Although not my favorite of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies, I still love that film.
The latest Jumanji movie, The Next Level.
Had a blast with this one. I highly recommend it.
And just so you know, I got a good deal at the Target to buy that, and also the Jumanji board game. Just so you know.
Nice. And hello, Ibarra Brothers Studios. Welcome to the podcast. Glad to see you in the chat.
Next is a movie I haven't heard the greatest praise about, but I mostly got it because of James Mangold, Night and Day.
I didn't exactly hate that film. I mean, I more on the screenplay of the film. I mean, it wasn't that bad. It just could have been a lot better. But great for you on getting that.
Mm-hmm. Next up is last year's answer to Clue, Knives Out.
A great film. I own that. I own the DVD of that film.
And I got the Target exclusive with this pretty cool book.
Nice.
The Kung Fu Panda trilogy.
Nice.
Liar Liar.
I really love that film so much.
The Man Who Killed Don Quixote by Terry Gilliam.
I heard about that film. I just wish I got to review that film, but well.
The Men in Black trilogy and International.
The Men in Black movies. Nice.
The Night Professor with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. I love that movie.
Overlord.
Such a blast. I really enjoyed that one a lot.
The Patriot.
Another good one.
Premium Wash.
Really enjoyed that film a lot.
And before Denis Villeneuve made.
Oh yeah, he did. He did.
And,
you know what? Ibero Bros pointed this out. The composer of How to Train Your Dragon did Night and Day.
I did not know that.
He
did. Anyways, before Arrival and before Arrival and before Blade Runner 2049, Denis Villeneuve gave us Prisoners.
A great film, one of the best from 2013, and the film that got me to watching more of Denis Villeneuve's on movies.
The 80s movie, The Right Stuff.
Another fantastic film.
Say anything?
A great film. Great film. I own the tape to that film, believe it or not.
Nice. Shutter Island.
One of the most underappreciated films of the 2010s.
The first 100 episodes of SpongeBob.
Nice.
And just so you know, I previously had the first 3 seasons along with the first movie because those are really fun. The Golden Days of SpongeBob. But to be honest, there are some episodes in the seasons 4 and 5 that I quite enjoy. So I wouldn't mind owning this in my collection. And speaking of the SpongeBob movies, SpongeBob 1 and 2.
Nice.
Spotlight.
My favorite movie of 2015 and my second favorite film of the decade, of the last decade, I should say. Excuse me.
Okay, I know that this isn't the most beloved movie in this particular franchise, but I did enjoy quite parts of it, and it was on sale, so I might as well get it. Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker.
I understand, and I'm not gonna lie, that's a neat looking cover.
Oh, and by the way, this is actually the second 4K I actually owned. The first being Hacksaw Ridge.
Nice.
Right, 3 more Blu-rays. Clint Eastwood Sully.
I love that movie. One of his best movies he's made.
Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets.
I thought it was all right, and definitely better than some of Luc Besson's last movies. But nice.
And last but not least, I wouldn't really put this in my top 10 Pixar films, but I still think it's a really good movie. WALL-E.
I love that movie. I love WALL-E very, very much.
And those are all my Blu-ray pickups. So, now, what do we have for us for reviews?
All right. Well, it's your podcast, so I'm going to let you go first with the movies you saw, and then I'm going to join some of the discussions that you went. So you have your quick reviews, and then I'll have my quick reviews, and then we'll both join in for the discussion on 3 movies that, well, 2 movies. You and I have 2 movies. But there's one movie that I just want to discuss that I just wanted to get off my chest.
All right.
So anyway, you go first.
All right. So as for my first review, I got the first movie of 2020 I ever saw, DC's latest film, Birds of Prey, and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn, or How I Learned to Submarine Love the Bomb, based on a novel published by Sapphire. I've seen that 3 times fast. All right, so as for plot, after the events of Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn breaks up with the Joker and thus lives in the mercy of Black Mask and his thugs. Ultimately, she has to protect a girl named Cassandra, as there's a huge bounty on Cassandra's head for a valuable diamond that could make Black Mask the most powerful criminal in Gotham. Oh, and they also team up with 2 other chicks and form the Birds of Prey. So, yeah, here's the first main thing to talk about this movie. It's not really a Birds of Prey movie as much as it is a Harley Quinn movie. I mean, you can tell that this is so obvious that they changed the title of it right in the middle of its theatrical run, just to Harley Quinn Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
As
yeah.
Sorry. You were saying something?
Well, I was actually like going to say something about. I did see Birds of Prey, and my quick thoughts on the film. I did like it overall, but it wasn't as great as I. But it wasn't a great movie.
Right, and as for the positives of this movie, everyone gives a terrific performance. The standouts,
Yes.
the absolute standouts are Margot Robbie still killing it as Harley Quinn, and Ewan McGregor stealing every frame he's in as the Black Mask. And there are some fun action, and there are some fun action sequences all around.
Yeah. And going back to what you said about Margot Robbie has proven once again that she's one of the best actresses working today. I mean, I don't think any other actress could play a better Harley Quinn than Margot Robbie, and that's why I think she's so special and why she's one of my favorite actresses working today.
So my biggest issue of this movie is that you can tell DC's trying to make Harley Quinn their own version of Deadpool, since those 2 movies were such big of a success. But overall, this was a pretty solid film from the DC Extended Universe, and I recommend you check it out. And it gets an 8 out of 10 from me.
It's a 7 out of 10 for me. Yes, I did feel the writing was a bit obvious and could have used some more work. And it does have its share of cliches in it, since we've seen this all in Deadpool 4. But overall, a solid movie. 7 out of 10.
Right. Next movie review I have here is Pixar's latest film, Onward.
I catch up on that film.
Right. So, as for plot summary, this movie takes place in the world moved on from magic and now depending on technology and modernity. And this movie follows 2 brothers, played by Tom Holland and Chris Pratt, seeking out an adventure to find a magic left to see their father one last time. All right, let's get the negatives out of the way. It's a pretty bland and familiar story. I mean, I bet my bottom dollar that you can pretty much predict every single event that happens after the first frame.
Oh boy.
And the world wasn't really super interesting. It was just another suburban city for me, just with fantastic elements. But this movie saves it with the chemistry between Pratt and Holland, as well as its heart and its emotional ending. Anything to say about it?
Well, I'll admit, I did see the movie, but I don't remember much of it, so I can't judge the film. So I'm gonna have to see it again, just to make sure. Just to make sure I remember it.
Yeah, I don't blame you for getting it because it is one of Pixar's weakest film, and it's easy to see why it bombed. But well, besides the obvious reason, it gets a 6 out of 10 from me.
The I see, and another obvious reason is because of the pandemic, which
Yeah.
by
Besides
by
that,
by the way, yeah, which by the way, just please for anybody out there watching this, please do stay safe, and please do stay safe, and just take very good care of yourself, very good care of yourself.
yeah, he said it, not me. Next movie I have here is a movie that I know Nick wasn't really a fan of, but I really dug the first movie, and I saw this movie, and it's my second most disappointing film of the year so far. DreamWorks Trolls World Tour.
Yeah, that movie. I mean, I didn't like the first Trolls movie at all. I mean, it wasn't terrible or anything. It did have a very good animation. Voice acting was very good for the most part, and there are a couple of funny moments here and there. But it's just I just wasn't a fan of this film. It wasn't terrible or anything. Hell, it's not Shrek the Third or
Boss
Boss
Baby.
Baby bad, but it's still just yeah. I already dug into the can of worms on how bad this one was, so I don't think I need to talk about it.
All right, so as for the plot of Trolls World Tour, after the events of the first movie, Poppy and Brant discover that there are other troll societies out there that represent different music genres. As they represent pop, there's also funk, classical, techno, country, and rock. The rear of Rock, Queen Barb, is bent on uniting all trolls by ridding them of all music and except for rock, and Poppy has to unite the trolls to stop her. Let's get the positives out of the way. Like the first movie, this movie boasts beautiful, colorful visuals like the first film, especially in one key scene in the climax. No spoilers. And I will admit, all the actors did good for what they had to do. And the plot had some potential as well, especially the concept of exploring different kinds of trolls besides pop. But my problems with this movie is this story is cliche as all hell. I mean, down to Branch having the exact same story arc as Kristoff in Frozen 2, as if he has the hospital puppy and he's trying to propose to her, but oh no, shenanigans ensue, and he just can't get to impress her. Also, this movie has a ton of annoyance for me. I mean, sure, the first movie was kind of annoying at times, but at least it had a limit and gave us time to build characters. This movie, however, just feels like one big music video. also, this also the soundtrack's pretty weak compared to the first one. The covers were pretty meh as well, especially the cover of Crazy Train, which was yeah. So yeah, you can pretty much get that. Growth World Tour was a huge disappointment for me, and it gets a 6 out of 10 for me. But believe it or not, that's not. But believe it or not, that's not my most disappointing film of the year. What's the most disappointing film of the year? We're just gonna get to it. Shaun the Sheep 2 from again. I'm sorry, I'm just not a fan of this movie, despite what the critics think. So, judging by the title of Shaun the Sheep 2, this movie is a sequel to the surprise hit of 2015. Its storytelling and slapstick really reminded me of the good old days of 20 silent comedies. And that's why I really loved it so much.
Yeah, and that's one of I love Shaun the Sheep as well. If it wasn't for Inside Out or the Peanuts movie, this would have been my favorite animated film of 2015.
Yeah, but I guess all that's completely gone with this mediocrity of a sequel. So as for a plot, when an alien crash lands into Shaun's farm, he, along with his friends, has to find a way to get him back home before he gets in the hands of this super secret alien organization. As for the positive, as to expect from animation, the stop motion animation is outstanding as all hell, especially the animation on the spaceships.
It's Aardman, so you can expect anything from their animation to be absolutely fantastic.
Uh-huh. But I guess that's where the positives lie. As for the humor, it ranges from kind of decent, kind of got a laugh out of me, to completely predictable and idiotic. Or just a complete clubbing pot piece. Down to the fact that Shaun the dog go through the exact same story arc as the first movie, where they don't get along at first, but they have to work together for the greater good. Next, and the other disappointing thing about this movie is the story. And no, it's not just because it's just another E.T. wannabe, but it has the balls to rip off these movies that prove to be so lackluster in the box office. I mean, they ripped off Muppets from Space, Planet 51, and hell, even After Earth. I mean, who the hell ripped out After Earth?
Oh my god.
So yeah, Armin, what the hell happened to you? First Early Man and now this. And let me tell you, I was already skeptic about the second one since it's a pretty unnecessary sequel to a pretty solid first film. But now I'm anticipating it even less. Though I do hope it's good. So, but as for Shaun the Sheep 2, it gets a 5 out of 10 for me.
You know, speaking of Aardman, I am getting Wallace and Gromit very soon in the mail.
Cool. Can't go wrong with Wallace and Gromit.
Oh no, I'm telling you, Wallace and Gromit is like one of my all-time favorite, if not my all-time short. I mean, just everything you see, everything you the animation and the stories they take with those shorts, I absolutely loved. And by the way, if you have not seen it, I highly recommend you do. It is favorite out of all the Wallace and Gromit shorts. I mean, granted, all three of them are terrific. All three of them. But if I were to choose my favorite Wallace and Gromit short, it would be a close shave.
Yeah, close. Yeah, all of them are pretty spectacular.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, you have a bunch of mini reviews to get over with as well.
Yeah, just give me a second. Give me a second. I'm still looking forward to Chicken Run. I'm really hoping it's like at least good. So but we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Anyway, mini reviews. Oh, the Ron Strauss is a great one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
though it's pretty sad to see that we're probably not going to get more Wallace and Gromit movies since P.S. Sallis just passed away a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Anyway, a couple of mini reviews. I only have two because I only have two because Soren and I are going to discuss two films that both of us saw, and then I'm going to be discussing one film that is my worst movie of the year so far. So I'm saving the last one for last. So the worst movie of the year. You get the point. Anyway, as for my mini movie reviews, I did see a few movies before this whole quarantine thing happened. Granted, there's still a few I still need to catch up on, like The Assistant, Onward, The Way Back, Emma, Greed. Another one which is The Hunt, Bloodshot, Never Really, Sometimes Always, Wendy, and the Netflix film Lost Girls. But for the ones I did see and I'm about to talk about, here it is. My third. I'll talk about my third worst movie of the year because this movie I rarely talk about cinema score, but this is no wonder why this got an F on cinema score.
Yeah, and
aside from my number one worst film of the year, this is, oh my god, this is one of the worst horror films I've ever seen. Aside from my number one worst film of the year, which I'll get to in a little bit. That film is The Turn.
yeah, I've heard pretty terrible things about it.
My God.
And you know how hard it is to get an F on Cinema Score? I mean, before this and The Grudge, the last movie to get an F on Cinema Score was Mother back in 2017. That should tell you something.
Which I know a lot of people were split on Mother. I love Mother. Granted, it's not Darren Aronofsky's best. I still think Black Swan and Requiem for a Dream, as well as The Wrestler, are his best. But this is like, I would say it's like up there. Anyway, so The Turning is based on the novel. And it stars Mackenzie Davis, Finn Wolfhard, and Brooklyn Prince from the Florida Project, and this plot is just awful. I mean, the story could have been at least like simple if it wasn't for the execution. So let's talk about I'll talk about my positives first. Mackenzie Davis is actually good in this movie, and I did like Brooklyn Prince in the film. I thought she was really good. Hell, even though I didn't love the Florida Project, she was the best thing about it. And I did like let me look this up because it's been a while since I've seen this. It's been a while since I've seen this. I also like Barbara Martin in the film. She plays Mrs. Gross. She was actually really good in the film. And the film did have a decent soundtrack, but that's okay. It did have a decent soundtrack. Unfortunately, it's horribly wasted in this god awful film. Let's talk about what's wrong with the film. The story, okay, it could have been a really good story about Mackenzie Davis's character being a nanny and taking care of the two kids. It could have been a nice and simple story if it wasn't poorly executed. I mean, just also the writing is beyond atrocious. It's filled with some really clunky and bland dialogue that you just can't not take seriously. The directing's atrocious. The rest of the act was not good either. I do like Finn Wolfhard. But my God, he was really, really bad in this movie. And his character is such an unlikable douchebag. I get, most kids act like this in real life, but it's just, but this is actually beyond idiotic on so many levels. And poor Joe Richardson, she was horribly wasted in the film. I mean, she plays the Mackenzie Davis's character in the film, and you only see her for like a few scenes at the beginning and then at the end. That's it. Also, the scares are just beyond stupid. Very stupid. There's a couple of jump scares that you can see coming from a mile away, but there's another reason why I hated this movie and why this got an F on Cinema Score. The ending. I'm not even kidding. This movie goes the devil inside route where it throws an ending that doesn't even have a fucking ending. Originally, this was going to be executive Steven Spielberg, but due to the production troubles that the movie was facing, his name was taken off the credits. And honestly, I can't blame him. I cannot blame him for like taking his name off the credits. Just God, this movie was so bad. Explained that gave out some good performances like Mackenzie Davis, Brooklyn Prince, and Barbara Martin. This movie was just crap on a stick. 1 out of 10. Easily one of the worst films I've seen this year so far. But we finally get to a haul. Actually, tonight's my favorite movie of the year. That film is Invisible Man.
Invisible Man. Yeah,
now, I'm not going to talk too much about the film. I'm not going to talk too much about this film, but let's just say this movie blew me away. I was kind of skeptical when I saw the trailers for it because it didn't impress me much, but the final product was even better than I expected it to be. It's just like Lee Winnell really knows how to make a good horror film. Whether he's like how to make a good movie in general. As for my complaint with the film, some of the scenes in the middle do go on. I do think like the end. I did wish the ending could have been explained a bit more, but that's really it. I'm not saying it needs a lot of exposition shit. I just felt it could have added like a few more minutes to the film. So anyway, what I loved about this movie was just it's very interesting and intriguing throughout. The script and directing by Lee Winnell are both absolutely fantastic. The acting was terrific. Elizabeth is absolutely terrific in this movie. And even though you don't see the actor playing the Invisible Man, since it's obvious he's invisible, but you get the point. The actor that did play the Invisible Man, even though you can't physically see him, he's played by trying to remember because it's been a long time since I've seen the film. Let me look this up for a second. Again, I'm sorry for dragging, but it's just I'm trying to remember. But never mind. Wait, play Invisible Man. Great job. And the musical score was absolutely terrific. The cinematography was terrific. The editing was terrific. And there are a couple jump scares in the film, but the thing is, it's well earned because they build the tension, and They build the tension, and it just leaves you on the edge of the seat in guessing what's going to happen. It just leaves you on the edge of your seat on what's going to happen next, and you're hopefully hoping for the best. This is what our films should really be about. Rely on tension, rely on story, characters, tension, build real tension, and do either 2 or 3 jump scares if you build tension well. I know I complain that I'm getting sick of jump scares in films. This is one of those rare exceptions where jump scares are actually earned. And it leads to the third act that really had me on the edge of my seat. I won't spoil what happens, but boy, are you in for a treat. 9.5 out of 10. My favorite movie of the year so far. All done, leave now.
All right. As for my discussions, let's do the good one first, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. So you all remember last year, right? With a certain infamous trailer circulating the internet, and after all that backlash, Paramount did something unthinkable. They actually listened to the fans. And so they delayed the movie from November of last year to this February. And boy, did they improve on it. And that movie is Shaun the Hedgehog.
I'm telling you, yeah, the first trailer they dropped last year was really bad, but the second trailer that came months later was a huge improvement over it. And boy, when I saw the final product of the film, boy, did I have a blast watching this.
Yep, I sure did too. So, as for the plot of this movie, Sonic the Hedgehog, played by Ben Schwartz, is on the run as authorities run by Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey, bent to harness Sonic's power to take over the world. He also seeks the help of Cyclops. What's the actor's name again? James Marsden. James Marsden. He seeks the help of James Marsden to assist him. So, so yeah, let's get the worst out of the way. The plot is pretty predictable. I mean, you got this.
It is a bit predictable.
I mean, you got this otherworldly creature coming into this normal person's life and inadvertently working together with him to change his life for the better. I mean, you can tell that this movie is so formulaic that they even got James Marsden from Hop to play the main guy.
Yeah.
Snooping as usual. Snooping as usual, I see. But all that is to say, because this movie was a hell of a blast, and you can tell they put their all into this movie. First off, the cast.
Yes.
First off,
all of them very good.
Yeah, Ben Schwartz is pretty much perfect as Sonic. I mean, when you see and hear him, you don't hear an actor playing Sonic. You see and hear Sonic, like with Michael Keaton in Batman, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, etc., etc. And Jim Carrey pretty much steals every single cell of frame he's in. I mean, his
Yes.
performance just harkens us back to the mid '90s era of Jim Carrey, like Ace Ventura and The Mask and sorts.
Mm-hmm.
Plus
He
the
does.
visuals and the action are pretty spectacular. They really put their all into this,
Yeah,
and the fan
they
service.
did.
And there is actually some fan service that is in the least bit cringy, especially with its mid-credit scene, which of course we won't spoil here.
I'm telling, no spoilers, but let me tell you that mid-credit sequence originally made it an 8 out of 10 for me. But when that mid-credit sequence happened, it bumped it up to an 8.5 out of 10.
It was pretty much Iron Man's post-credit scene all over again. Of course, Iron Man was already a 10 out
Yeah.
of 10, but still.
Oh yeah, definitely. Right.
But yeah, kudos to you, Paramount, for giving us a pretty awesome Sonic movie, and so far my favorite movie of the year. It gets an 8 out of 10 for me.
I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it very much. And while it's not quite my favorite movie of the year, The Invisible Man is. I really had a blast with this one. 8.5 out of 10. The more I think about this movie, the more I actually love it. I mean, yes, the plot is a bit predictable and it does have a few cliches in it, but you know what? Fuck it. I really enjoyed this movie.
Same here. And then we get this movie.
Oh,
The
I
movie.
I have a lot to talk about with this one because I've seen the movie twice, just to analyze this whole sorry excuse to call this a film. And what were they thinking?
The movie that pretty much jump-started 2020 on a pretty bad start and pretty much ruined the career for Robert Downey Jr. And that is 2020's Dolittle.
Do Dolittle, or more like poo poo little star. How I wonder what type of fucking shit you are.
Or as I like to call it, do little to impress. Trust me, I put more
Nice.
effort into that joke than 99% of the filmmakers of this piece of crap.
Oh my. There is so much wrong. There are so many things wrong with Doolittle. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, me neither. Actually, let's just start with a little plot synopsis. So, Robert Downey Jr. plays the famous Dr. Dolittle, the famous doctor who can talk to animals. And he was in it hard in becoming famous until the recent passing of his wife, which caused him to go into a downward spiral and eventually close down his business. All that changes until this bland kid comes into his life, and he gets called to save the queen from dying from this inexplicable illness. So he has to embark on a perilous journey to get a cure.
Oh my god.
You know, you can tell this movie's so bad that even the poster can has Audite telling us how he feels about this movie. Let me just share a screen here. Hold on.
Look, I think I'll do. I think I'll do the honors.
Hold on.
Oh, but that's not even the worst part. That's not even the worst part. This movie
Hold on.
troubled themes.
Hold on. Before you say this, just look at that. Just look at that face. His face pretty much says it all. You can pretty much read his thoughts, and he can tell you, man, I hit it pretty hard last decade playing Iron Man, and I even scored 2 Oscar nominations with Chaplin and Tropic Thunder. What the hell am I doing here? Let's just hope that.
What the hell?
Guy Ritchie, please help me with Sherlock 3. But yeah, sorry for interrupting you. I just wanted to get this out of my chest. As you were saying.
No, man, it's fine. It's fine. This movie suffered through a troubled production with several rewrites and a different director taking up Stephen Gaggen's spot, which to Stephen Gaggen, if you're watching this, I highly doubt it, but in the rare chances you are, I do apologize for calling you out. I mean, I know your name isn't a writing and directing credit, but I blame this more on Chris McKay and Jonathan Leisman since they're responsible for the since Jonathan Leisman is responsible for the reshoots and Chris McKay is responsible for the rewrite. You two should be ashamed of yourselves. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what the hell happened to this movie? I mean, you got a pretty talented director, the director of Syriana, and you got an A-star like Robert Downey Jr., as well as a pretty talented all-star cast. But the plot of this movie is so lackluster that you just can't believe it. Yeah. The story is nothing but an incoherent mess. The script is one of the absolute worst of the year since it's filled with cringe-worthy dialogue, and worst of all, the tone being all over the place, and filled with jokes that also just make you cringe. Yeah, and it's not just the dialogue. The story itself is so awkwardly placed. I mean, from the beginning sequence, it shows Dr. Dolittle heightening his fame, marrying a beautiful wife, and losing her to a shipstorm right in the first 90 minutes. I mean, what the hell? I mean, none of us. I mean, say what you will about Frozen, but at least it took its time to develop its exposition.
Yeah.
And also this.
Look, as much as I love Robert Downey Jr., sorry, I just had to say something really quick. As much as I love Robert Downey Jr., I would be lying if I didn't say that this is a low point in his career.
It is.
He's not only bad in this movie, but his accent. Good God, his accent was just beyond cringeworthy to listen to. I mean, listening to that accent and how he performed in that film, it didn't even feel like he was playing Dr. Dolittle. And as I said in my review, it felt like he was more playing of a caricature of Guy Ritchie's Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, he actually did spectacularly playing the British star Charlie Chaplin. So what the hell happened here?
I don't know, man. And I like Chaplin.
Yeah, me too. I just saw it today.
It's a really good film.
It is.
What the fuck happened? Oh, but you know what the sad thing is? Look, I understand it's Dr. Dolittle, but animals should not talk, even if it's CGI.
What about the Babe movies? That worked with that.
Oh yeah, babe, I'm sorry.
And
Sometimes
even the first few Dr. Dolittle movies with Eddie Murphy, those were pretty decent for what they were.
yeah, they were. I know, I just contradicted myself, but oh well.
And sure, those two Dolittle movies weren't spectacular, but I can assure you, those movies are Godfather 1 and 2 compared to this disaster.
Exactly, and there are two voice acting performances that got under my skin. I mean, this actor, I'm not surprised because he was in my worst movie of last year, Playing with Fire, and he's so bad here in this movie. John Cena as the polar bear. I mean, I'm not even kidding. When literally his character says, "Bro, bro, bro."
Yeah, and speaking of the cast, it seems like they got this whole star cast with the aforementioned John Cena and also Emma Thompson, Rami Malek, Tom Holland, Marion Cotillard, but they only got like a few lines each, and there are entire plot points that are dropped throughout. Like for example, this in the beginning, the boy accidentally shoots him, and so he brings him to Dr. Dolittle to revive him. Once the scrolls revived, he seeks revenge on this boy. And where does that go? Nowhere.
Nowhere.
Absolutely nowhere.
Nowhere. And what? So then, what was the point of all this if it went nowhere?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can tell this movie needed like 20 more minutes.
But you know,
and this movie really needed like 10 to 20 more minutes just to fill in the escaping plot holes. I mean, I'm not saying you should make it like Lord of the Rings style 3 hour epic, but at least add it like it's cohesive.
yeah, exactly. But I haven't mentioned the worst performer in the film. As much as I hated John Cena as the polar bear in the film, he's not the worst performer in the film. That would go to Jason Mantzoukas. Good God, he got on my nerves so much. I'm trying to remember who he voiced in the film.
The Dragonfly.
Let me look this up.
He plays a dragonfly.
Yeah, Dragonfly. Yeah, he was the worst thing about the film. His Dragonfly character came up as being a comic just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Oh, but I'm about to save the worst part for last because this pissed me off so much and what it was leaning toward. Long story short, the musical score was bland. The cinematography, what a waste of a good cinematography, by the way. What a waste.
Yeah.
Not to mention the editing is the worst I've seen this entire year so far. It is so poorly edited to the point where you can't even tell what the hell is going on.
Yeah, like it makes the whole production issues and re-edits all the more blatant.
Yes.
I mean,
another thing. Sorry.
I mean, in this middle part where Dolittle and the animals are sneaking into this castle, they literally had Emma Thompson. They literally had establishing shots to the castle, and Emma Thompson just spewing out what happens without visually showcasing it. It's like show, don't tell people. It's a visual medium.
Exactly. Exactly. No sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of the script, another reason why the script absolutely sucked is because of the jokes. The jokes in this movie are just beyond cringeworthy and just stupid. I mean, what is it with family movies relying on toilet humor just for the sake of it? What is it with family movies relying on this?
Yeah. And the climax, I'm sorry, we'll get to that in its time.
The, I think I'm ready to explain the climax. The visual effects weren't impressive, and the pacing was all over the damn place. Since there were certain times where it just dragged on and on and on and on, point where you just feel like falling asleep. I'm not even kidding. This was one of the hardest movies I've ever had to get through. Oh, but that's not even the worst part. The climax is
Yeah. So, in the end of this movie, Duo and his friends finally come across the location of the magical fruit, but apparently it's guarded by this dragon that causes a rampage. But as it turns out, it wasn't so cranky at all. It just had some bowel problems. So, what's the climax of this movie? Dulo performed an animon on the dragon and gained farted on.
fuck.
Why? Why?
Just why?
Why the fuck? Why the fuck would you do this to a dragon climax?
It just doesn't make any sense. Like, what were they thinking? And I've been trying to keep calm in this, but it's just this is one of those breaking points where I just had to let it out.
Guys, Don't waste your time and or money on this piece of shit. Watch literally anything else. Watch the two Eddie Murphy movies, or even the original from 1960, whatever. Just don't waste your time on even a frame of this. Please.
Just don't. Just don't. And I just stated in my review, if Dolittle isn't in my top 10 worst films of the year, if there are 10 movies worse than Dolittle this year, you could say goodbye to my movie reviews. And I don't want to quit. I love doing the things that I love to do, but it's just, this is one of those points where this is at a point where I just can't take it anymore. I just can't take it. This is one of the worst family films I've ever seen. I mean, it's not as awful as like it wasn't as painfully unwatchable as like Playing with Fire, which was the worst movie I saw last year, but it's pretty damn close. 0 out of 10.
I'd probably give it a 2 because of its cinematography. But yeah. Just get on to your next review. I need a fucking minute.
All right. So then, when I thought I wouldn't see anything worse than Dolittle, here comes another movie that I saw that was even worse, and that movie is Fantasy Island. You guys knew this was coming. You guys knew. If you saw my Facebook post on it, this was the worst film I've seen this year so far. And I'm about to explain everything wrong with this film in great details. Okay, so basically this movie is based on a TV series of the same name, and it's basically the story of like these adults who get this like who go on this trip to Fantasy Island, and let me look this up for a second. I know I should have probably scripted this, but I know I should have probably scripted this, but it's just due to the inconsistent due to the things that have been like on my mind. I just didn't get time. I just didn't get a lot of time to. And so anyway, this movie follows 5 people who visit the eponymous island, discovering that their dream fantasies brought to what begin to into horrifying living nightmares they must try to survive. Welcome to the podcast, Cynthia, and yes, I am doing okay. Folks, just when I thought I wouldn't see anything worse than Dolittle, here comes this piece of shit. Fantasy Island is one of the worst horror films I've ever seen. It is so idiotic. It is so cliched, and it's just beyond frustrating and incoherent and inconsistent to the point where it just leaves you squirming in your seat. I'm about to explain everything wrong with this film because, boy, do I have a lot. The story. The story is absolutely horrendous. It tries to be interesting, but fails due to this twist that I'm gonna bring up later. So keep an eye out for that. The script is the worst script of the year so far because for good reason. It's filled with cringeworthy dialogue, jokes that are also cringeworthy and just beyond stupid, and poor character development. I mean, this shouldn't surprise me since this is from the same director and co-writer that wrote Truth or Dare, which was one of the worst movies I saw from 2018. Yet he just managed to make a movie even worse than Truth or Dare. I don't even know how that's possible, but he did it. Acting was absolutely terrible. Maggie Q is the only actress in the film that at least gives out an okay performance. But the problem is that her talent was horribly wasted in this piece of shit. Her talent was wasted in this movie. Not to mention, Michael Pena is horribly miscast in the film. He is really bad here in this movie. And Lucy Hale, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'll get to her character in a little bit because, good God, her character pissed me off. The music is bad. The cinematography was also a bland mess, and there are some color palettes that are just like off-putting. Since the color palettes in this movie feel way, way off. The editing was also an incoherent mess. The pacing was very sluggish. And I'm about to get to two big problems I have with, actually three big problems. First off are the scares. Almost nothing happens throughout the whole film and when something does happen, it just relies on those stupid jump scares. Jump scares are not scary. I mean, as I stated before, it could work if you build tension and at least have 2 or 3 jump scares. But when it's like all over the place to the point where you could predict everything that's going to happen, it just ruins the tension. And the second biggest problem I have with the film is the tone. The tone is just beyond inconsistent. I mean, most of the time it's a horror film, but then there were other times where it tries to throw in comedy into the mix. And the comedy in this movie is just beyond cringeworthy, especially when we follow the 2 stepbrothers in the film, who, by the way, they're the second worst characters in the whole damn film. Why? Because they pull in some references. They pull in some really awful comedy and some references you just can't even believe. You just can't even believe on what you're hearing. Like, for example, in this one scene, one stepbrother says, it's just like Jodie Foster. It's just like that one movie starring Jodie Foster. And the other brother says, yippee-ki, yes. Oh. Like, what was the point of that? Really? I've been doing okay, Cynthia. Thanks for asking. Anyway, we get to the worst part about the film: the twist and the ending. Remember when I stated before that this movie is about 5 people who visit the island, discovering their dream fantasies? Well, you're not going to believe this stupid twist. So the twist in this movie, and I'm gonna have to spoil this movie because you guys should not see this movie. So, spoiler alert, here we go. So, as I stated before, this movie follows 5 people who visit the island, discovering their dream fantasies brought to life. But unfortunately, when it got to that stupid twist, it was revealed that it was all Hill's character's plan to get revenge on everybody on the island. There are so many things wrong with this twist. Like, first of all, if this movie is about going to an island where you can discover your fantasies coming to life, why in the shitting hell would it be about Lucy Hill's character getting revenge on everybody on the beach? I mean, on the island. It makes no sense. This movie was just beyond awful. Just when I thought I wouldn't see a movie worse than Dolittle this year, here comes Fantasy Island. And you know what the worst thing about this is? The director of that movie is signed on to do a horror film about a magic 8-ball. Let me repeat this one more time. The director of Truth or Dare and Fantasy Island is already teaming up with Blumhouse again to direct a horror film about a magic 8-ball. Let that sink in.
Because it works so well with Battleship and Ouija.
Exactly.
Even though I did hear that Ouija 2 was actually pretty good, but that's a rare occasion. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, man, it's fine. Ouija Origin of Evil is actually a really good film. It's a really good prequel. This movie was just terrible. This movie was terrible. It is the worst film I've seen this year so far, and it's the worst scene in 2020 so far. I know we're only in April, but I can't imagine another horror film being as worse or just as bad as Fantasy Island. This can film this year to earn a 0 out of 10. Shame on you, Blumhouse. Shame on you, Jeff Wadlow, and Mackie Q. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Had to be shame on everybody involved with the film. I'm done. I'm done.
And let me just say that Ricardo Montalban is currently rolling in his grave right now. Because he's the star of the original series.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, let's just move on. All right, so our next discussion tonight is the recent trend of studios releasing movies to digital due to you know what going on and theaters closing. So as you may know, due to the whole pandemic, many studios had to delay some of their big releases to later dates, like No Time to Die and Black Widow and Pixar's Soul. But for most of the movies,
as well as The French Dispatch. I forgot to mention that Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch.
Yeah, but for most of the smaller movies slated to come out around this time, they had an opportunity to release them early to digital streaming. Not just recent releases like Invisible Man, Birds of Prey, Onward, and so forth, but also upcoming releases as well, like My Spy, Artemis Fowl, and Capone, which we'll talk about later. Now, it's most likely that when all this simmers down, we'll go back to theatrical releases by mid-summer, but there's also the slight chance that some studios would depend on releasing more movies to digital and completely avoiding the theatrical window. Now, let me just say there are positives and negatives to all this. On the one hand, releasing a movie digitally is much more convenient. That way, one doesn't have to go out of the way to plan ahead drive or commute 30 to 60 minutes to the theater and 30 to 60 minutes back. One could just go home or click on their phone and watch the movie whenever they want. On the other hand, the overall cost. How much they're charging is pretty inexcusable. They're charging like $20 for a 22-day rental. That's pretty much the cost of a ticket, gas, and concessions combined. Not to mention, if students rely on digital releases after all this pretty much robs us of the whole theatrical experience. I mean, it's really hard to describe how much of a great time one has when watching a movie on a big screen with surround sound and watching it along with dozens of people around you.
Yeah.
Now I am glad that some of the lower anticipated movies are going straight to streaming, so that I don't have to pay that much money, like My Spy or Artemis Fowl. But as for some of the more anticipated releases, just wait to releasing them on theaters, man. Like, please don't, please do.
Yeah, I agree, because again, it is satisfying that I won't have to review like My Spy, and I wasn't impressed when I saw the trailer for Artemis Fowl. I love Kenneth Branagh. Don't get me wrong. I think he's one of the greatest actors working today, and I think a really good director. If you need proof of that, watch Henry V, Dead Again, and Much Ado About Nothing, as well as Hamlet. He knows how to direct a really good film.
And one of the also one of the least backlashy Disney remakes of Cinderella.
Yeah. Yes, and even though I'm not big into Disney live action remakes, the Cinderella remake I thought was actually a really.
Yeah, I'd say it's even better than the animated original.
Yeah.
But as for Artemis Fowl, it just looks pretty damn generic. It just looks like just the Men in Black wannabe. I mean, yes, I am aware that. Yes, I am aware it's based on a book series, but as for us movie goers, it just looks pretty for me.
Yeah, I would say so too.
Anyways, as for our next discussion, we're going to talk about a recent trailer that dropped. That trailer being Josh Trank's latest film, Josh Trank's first film in a while, Capone, with Tom Hardy. Now we are aware of. Now we are all aware of Josh Trank's legacy, how he slammed it hard with Chronicle, but then disappointed all of us with his interpretation of the Fantastic Four. Which is pretty much why we're pretty skeptical about this interpretation of Al Capone. Not to mention the trailer didn't really look that spectacular. I mean, sure, Tom Hardy does give his all, but it just looks like just another mobster film.
Yeah, pretty much.
And let me tell you, depending on
my thoughts on the.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No. You. I'm sorry. I'll throw in my thoughts after you're done.
All right. So as I was saying, depending on how Josh Trank approaches this could either be one of 2020's biggest contenders or the 2020's answer to Gotti. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Oh God. for my thoughts, I am interested to see how they do with this one. I feel really bad for Josh Trank after the studios like fucked him over with that Fan Four Stick film. It's just the studio meddling is just the worst. I'm really hoping that the new Capone movie does get him back on. We'll see what happens when we do see it. I am interested to check this one out. I really hope it's like a good movie. The only thing I am really skeptical about though is that this is from the same distributor, Vertical Entertainment, that brought us one of my top 3 most hated films of 2018, Gotti. You guys know how much I hated Gotti, so I don't want to bring out that can of worms again.
Yeah.
So that's really it. That's really it on my thoughts.
All right. So our last topic here to conclude this whole show, we are going to take a look back at last decade and rank all of the Oscars Best Picture winners from worst to best.
Oh. All right. Excuse me.
All right. As for my number 10 is a movie that I really dug. It is really well written and acted, but we can all agree that it wasn't exactly the best film of 2010, and that's Tom Hooper's The King's Speech.
I'm not a fan of Tom Hooper, nor am I a fan of this movie. I mean, the acting was fantastic. Colin Firth did deserve. I do think Colin Firth did deserve that Best Actor Oscar because he gave out such a great performance in the film. But as for the whole film, it is well shot. The musical score is fantastic and it has some really good production values and costume design. But it's just the writing and the directing and the story just didn't invest me as I thought it would. So yeah, it is my least favorite of the Best Picture winners of the 2010s. Sorry.
Yeah. Personally, I'd give Best Original Screenplay for Christopher Nolan for Inception. I'd give Best Actor to probably Jeff Bridges for True Grit. Best Director to either Chris Nolan or David Fincher for Inception and Social Network, respectively. And as for Best Picture,
the Social Network should have won Best Director and Best Picture. The Social Network should have won.
Yeah, 2010 was an amazing year for films. I mean, you had Social Network, Inception, Toy Story 3, Black Swan, 127 Hours, etc., etc. And the winner was The King's Speech of all movies.
Well, then again, we could all blame this on this one person who I'm glad is getting his karma. Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah. In fact, he's been pushing all these undeserving movies up for the Oscars. I mean, you had this, you had Shakespeare in Love back in the 90s. You got the Cider House Rules.
Cider House Rules was another one. And probably the worst of the bunch was when the Reader was nominated for Best Picture over The Dark Knight.
Yeah, The Reader didn't even get that good reviews. It has like a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, and you will snub all these better movies for this mediocrity of a film.
It wasn't a good movie at all. I mean, it was well acted, it's well shot, and it has a very good musical score. But it's just not a good movie. The Reader did not deserve the Best Picture nominee at all.
And hell, I don't think Kate Winslet even deserves Best Actress, especially over Angelina Jolie and Changeling. And I haven't seen The Reader, so I can't judge.
I've seen The Reader, and trust me, you're not missing much. Hey, Jose. Welcome to the podcast, and nice to see you again, dude.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why the King's Speech is pretty much our number 10. As for my number 9, is like the King's Speech is a good movie on its own, but for a year that gave us such fantastic movies, this of all movies won 2018's Green Book.
I love Green Book, but I don't think it was personally the best film of 2018. But all I could say, thank God it wasn't at least Bohemian Rhapsody or Vice.
Yeah, and speaking of nominations, even movies that weren't even nominated were better than Green Book or Bohemian Rhapsody or Vice. Like you got First Man, First Reformed, If Beale Street Can Talk, Quiet Place, Avengers: Infinity War, Into the Spider-Verse.
and one of the most overlooked and two of the most overlooked independent films I thought were way better than the other films that you and I are just explained. I'm talking about the Best Picture nominees, but The Writer and Eighth Grade. Where was Eighth Grade? Where was Eighth Grade? Seriously, Eighth Grade was one of the best movies of 2018, and that didn't get that much love. Really?
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. But
Yeah.
back to Green Book. I will admit that the screenplay was pretty well written, and both Mahershala Ali and Viggo Mortensen did give phenomenal performances. But how do I put this? We've seen this done before. This in Driving Miss Daisy, no less.
God. Sorry.
And I'll say I don't think even Mahershala Ali deserved Best Supporting Actor, especially over two actors, Sam Elliott for A Star Is Born and Adam Driver for Black Klansman.
Yeah, I hear you.
But yeah, as for Green Book, it is a damn good movie, but Best Picture 2018, hell no. As for my number 8, we got A24's Moonlight.
I personally think that's my number 3 for me.
Yeah, it's up there for me. The best I can say about Moonlight is Boyhood in the Hood, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know. Imagine Boyhood meets Boys in the Hood. You get this film.
Even though there are other 2016 films I felt are a bit better, like Hacksaw Ridge and La La Land, but I'm not too upset the Moonlight won.
Me neither.
And no, we're not going to get into the whole La La Land Moonlight controversy. That's a can of worms opened way too many times.
And I'm honestly getting sick and tired of those memes. It wasn't funny the first time, and it exactly isn't funny more and more times. These memes, I'm sorry, are beyond overrated.
But yeah, number 8 is Moonlight. As for number 7, is the movie on this list you'd least expect to win Best Picture, Guillermo del Toro's Shape of Water.
That's probably like in my top. That would be my number 6 for me.
Yeah. Well, first off, if you look at this concept, it looks pretty ridiculous. I mean, this new janitor falls in love with the otherworldly creature of the back lagoon like creature. It just sounds so ridiculous. But then you got Guillermo del Toro, who's a visionary, and yeah, he just made it all a masterpiece with terrific performances, especially from Sally Hawkins, some beautiful visuals, and outstanding score.
Yeah. And another thing about The Shape of Water, this movie is also a wonderful tribute to those creature feature movies from like the early days.
It is. Although I really don't understand how this movie got a Best Picture when even though, but it was absent of two specific categories: Best Makeup and Best Visual Effects. I mean, seriously.
Those are some of the best from 2017.
They are. So yeah, Shape of Water is number 7. Number 6 is this generation's All the President's Men, Spotlight.
That would be my number 2. Originally, it was going to be number 1 on the list until another film took it, which we'll get to later. So,
with the great writing, great performances, great editing, just great everything.
yeah.
It really is a powerhouse of a feature. Even though
Yes,
my pick would have been my favorite movie of the decade, Mad Max Fury Road, but seeing Spotlight win is a pretty pleasant surprise.
it is. It is. I was actually, when that happened, I was actually jumping for joy when Spotlight was announced the winner.
Yeah. So number 6 is Spotlight. My number 5 is the Schindler's List of slavery films, 12 Years a Slave.
That is also my.
Such
Oh no! Wait! I'm sorry. That's actually my number 4. Actually. yeah.
Actually, I don't blame you because this movie was a spectacular film. I mean, Steve McQueen's direction, the performances from Michael Fassbender and Chiwetel Ejiofor just takes you in and tells us a pretty moving story about what happens when what happened back then when black people were pretty were shit out of luck back in the 1800s. Oh, and Lupita Nyong'o. How did I forget about her? She really steals the spotlight. Deserving of that Best Supporting Actress win. I just wish she was nominated for us, but that's a different story. So yeah, number 5 is 12 Years a Slave. My number 4 is Ben Affleck's Argo.
To a time.
Hold on. Uh-oh. You're cutting out live here. I think we're losing him. I don't know what's happening on his end, guys. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. And now we lost him. I guess we'll wait until he comes back. Okay, I can see you again. Can I hear you? Can't hear you. Frozen again. You okay now? You okay now? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Hear
can
me?
hear you.
All right, thank goodness. Sorry about that, guys. My internet was acting up, and I had to restart my computer again. So my sincere apologies for the long delay. So go ahead.
So you were saying something about 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah, Lupita Nyong'o really deserved that Oscar, and the Best Picture Oscar was very well deserved.
It was. So as for my number four, which I know I stated earlier, but Argo.
Argo was great.
It was. Ben Affleck truly proves himself to be one of the best actor turned directors out there. I mean, he also did The Town and Gone Baby Gone. I mean, after his downward spiral with Daredevil and Geely, making those movies were really a step in the right direction for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, number. Oh, and by the way, he should have been nominated and won Best Director. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
So yeah, number four is Argo. My number three is the very first foreign language film to win Best Picture, Bong Joon-ho's Parasite.
That is my number one ranking. That is my number one favorite movie of the 2010s. The movie really stuck with me ever since I saw it back in November of last year.
Yeah, it's pretty well written too. And Bong Joon-ho is pretty much one of the only directors who can make a comedy, then a drama, then a suspense thriller, all in one movie, and pull it off magnificently. And performances are really good too. The the main dude, Song Kang Ho, whatever his name is, he should have been nominated, as well as let me just look this dude's name up. And the woman who plays the maid, she should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress as well. Lin Kang Hoon, that's her name. The original maid. She should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress. And the guy who plays her husband, he should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor. So yeah, my number 3 is Bong Joon-ho's Parasite. Uh-oh, not again.
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry, guys. My internet is acting up again. I don't know what's going on and why I keep freezing. My apologies again.
All right, so let's just get my list over with. As I said, number 3 is Parasite. Number 2 is Birdman. And number 1 is The Artist.
That would be number 5 on the list for me. And The Artist would be number. Well, I'll just go on and do my quick list of the rankings. Number 10, The King's Speech. Number 9, Green Book. Number 8, The Shape of Water. Originally it was number 6, but then again, I had to think twice. Number 7, Argo. Number 6, The Artist. Number 5, Birdman. Number 4, 12 Years a Slave. Number 3. Moonlight.
Oh, he's cutting up again. So, in case he cuts up again, his number 2 is Spotlight, and his number 1 is Parasite. But don't worry, I said your number 2 and number 1. Your number 2 being Spotlight, and your number 1 being Parasite. So let's just end the show, and just in case
good.
So let's just end the show in case he cuts
All
up
right.
again.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's.
Well, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Thanks for watching. Go ahead.
So yeah, that concludes episode 5 of the FilmBrony podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you real soon.
Yeah, and as always, be sure to subscribe to Boy Thunder Productions. Give him the love he absolutely deserves. And
until next time, see you later.
Next time.